There's a man I think about whenever my life starts to fall apart. He wasn't rich. He wasn't gifted. He wasn't the strongest person in any room. But he had one thing that almost nobody has anymore. He had a mind that could not be broken. You could take his money, you could take his job, you could take every plan he ever made and set it on fire in front of him, and by the next morning he was already rebuilding. Not because he felt like it, but because a long time ago he had decided what kind of man he was going to be. And no bad day got a vote in that decision. That is what this video is about. Not confidence, not luck, not the kind of motivation that vanishes the second things get hard. We are talking about an unbreakable positive mental attitude. And by the end you're going to understand something most people never figure out. That your attitude was never meant to depend on your circumstances, it was meant to command them. Let's clear something up first. Because most people get this completely wrong. When you hear positive mental attitude, you picture someone smiling through pain, repeating affirmations in a mirror, pretending everything is fine when it clearly is not. That is not strength, that is a costume. And costumes fall apart the moment real pressure shows up. A real positive mental attitude is not about feeling good, it is about staying clear when you feel terrible. It is the ability to keep thinking, keep deciding, keep moving forward, while everything inside you is screaming to quit. Positivity that only survives on a good day was never positivity. It was just good weather. And you cannot build a life on good weather. So if you have ever tried to think positive and watched it collapse the second something went wrong, listen to me. It was not you that failed. You were just building on the wrong foundation. Let me show you the right one. Everything unbreakable starts with one question. Why? Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you keep going when nobody is watching and nobody is clapping? Why does it actually matter that you do not give up? Most people cannot answer that honestly. They say, for my family, for my job, because I have to. But listen closely. That is not purpose. That is obligation. Obligation gets you out of bed on an ordinary day. But it abandons you the moment the day turns brutal. Purpose is different. Purpose is the reason you want to stand up, not the reason you're forced to. And when your reason lives deeper than your feelings stop being in charge. You will not always feel motivated. Nobody does. But a person with a real why does not need to feel like it. They just go. So find that reason. Write it down. Make it so clear that on your worst day, you can still see exactly what you're fighting for. Because a strong enough why will carry you through almost any how. Now here's the shift that changes everything. Between what happens to you and what you do next. There is a gap, a small, quiet space. Most people never notice it exists. So they live their whole lives reacting. Something goes wrong, and instantly they become angry. Bitter. Defeated. It is automatic. Like a switch someone else is holding. But the strongest people alive have found that gap. And inside it they do something almost no one else does. They decide. The traffic does not decide your mood. You do. The insult does not decide your worth. You do. The setback does not decide your future. You do. Every single time, in that tiny space between what happens and what you do next. This is the whole game. When you stop reacting and start deciding, you take back the one thing no person and no circumstance can ever touch. Your response. Nobody can make you bitter without your permission. So stop giving it away for free. Now understand this. Because one day it is going to save you. We spend so much of our lives praying for the storm to pass. But the storm was never your enemy. The storm is the training. Every hard season you have survived built something in you that comfort never could. The exact pressure that almost broke you is the same pressure that made you harder to break. You do not get strong by avoiding the weight, you get strong by carrying it. So stop asking for a lighter life. Start becoming a stronger person. And when the next storm comes, and it will, do not ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, What is this trying to build in me? Because a positive mental attitude does not mean the storms stop coming. It means you stop being afraid of the rain. Here is something almost nobody protects. Your mind is not a public space. It is your home. And yet most people leave the front door wide open. They let in every fear, every doubt, every voice that says you're not good enough. You would never let a stranger walk into your home and insult you at your own table. So why do you let those thoughts do it for free every single day? Guarding your mind is not soft. It is discipline. It means choosing what you feed yourself, what you watch, who you listen to, and most of all, the words you say about yourself when nobody else can hear. Feed your mind fear and you build a fearful person. Feed it truth and effort and faith, and you build someone the world cannot shake. You're not just thinking your thoughts. Over time, you are becoming them. So guard the door like your future depends on it. Because it does. And let me be honest with you about one more thing. None of this works if you only think about it. A positive mental attitude is not just built in your head. It is built by your hands. Every time you do the hard thing you did not feel like doing, you vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you get a little harder to break. So do not wait to feel ready. You will not. Do not wait for the fear to disappear. It will not. Just take the next small step today, while it is still hard. Because momentum is not something you find. It is something you start. Let me tell you a short story. Because this is not just theory. There was a young man who failed at almost everything he tried. He failed in business. He ran for office and lost. Again and again. He lost people he loved and fell into a darkness those around him feared he would not survive. By every measure the world uses, he was a failure. But every time life knocked him flat, he got back up and took one more step. And that man went on to become one of the most respected leaders in history. The difference was never his circumstances. His circumstances were brutal. The difference was what he decided they meant. He did not see failure as a reason to stop. He saw it as the price of becoming who he was meant to be. And that same choice is sitting in front of you right now, with whatever you are facing today. Let me also say a word about gratitude, and it has nothing to do with being soft. The strongest people I have ever met are not the ones who have the most. They are the ones who can see what they already have. When your mind is trained to hunt for what is wrong, it will always find it. But a mind trained to notice what is right becomes almost impossible to defeat. Gratitude is not pretending your problems are not real. It is refusing to let your problems blind you to your blessings. And a person who can find something to be grateful for, even in the dark, carries a light no circumstance can put out. So let's bring it home. An unbreakable positive mental attitude is not a mood. It is not a good day. It is a decision you make on your worst one. It is built on purpose deeper than your feelings. It lives in the gap where you decide instead of react. It is forged in the storms you stopped running from. And it is protected by a mind you finally started to guard. The man I told you about at the start, the one nothing could break, he was not born that way. He built it, one hard decision at a time, on the days it was hardest. And so can you. You do not need a perfect life to have an unshakable mind. You just need to stop waiting for the conditions to be right and start becoming the kind of person who does not need them to be. Your circumstances were never in charge. You are. You always were. Now go build a mind the world cannot break. This is becoming you. If this hits something in you, stay. There is more coming. And so are you.